Hey guys, and welcome to a short PVM tip video covering why you shouldn't be using Tank Armor for PVM. So when you're ready, grab your cup of tea, sit back, relax, and enjoy. Now there are times in my videos where I do recommend Tank Armor. For example, if you're taking a tank role during raids, or possibly if you are having some issues AFKing Slayer and you want to fully AFK without eating food. Those are very rare scenarios where I would recommend Tank Armor over DPS Armor, because generally in Runescape 3 you're going to be better off sticking to your tier 70 DPS Armor for a long time. I'm talking about Bandle, Subjugation, and Armadillo. In this video test example, I'm going to be showing you guys the difference between tier 70 tank armor, for example Verax or Necronium, versus Bandle's a tier 70 DPS armor set. As you can see in the equipment screen, you can see that the damage is lower for both the ability damage and your main hand weapon damage. This is because DPS armor gives you a strength bonus, adding on top of any damage you do in either EOC or Legacy Combat mode. It does not matter. If you turn on max hit mode on the combat dummies, you can clearly see the difference between tank and DPS armor in terms of damage. At max hit mode, the damage difference is about 8.3% comparing the tank armor to the DPS armor at tier 70. In practice, because of RNG, this doesn't mean it's an 8% increase, but it's definitely an increase in damage overall. In Legacy Combat mode, you can also clearly see the damage difference when comparing Verax or full Necronium. It doesn't matter what it would have been, as long as it's tier 70 tank armor, versus Bandle being the tier 70 DPS armor. Again, that 8 point something% increase in damage does clearly show. Also, it does not matter if the armor is higher tier, strength bonus in DPS armor will pretty much always be superior to tank armor unless you're doing niche things like high enraged Talos or AFK Slay at Corrupted Scorpions, for example, where you need the defense bonus as a mid-level player to AFK because you don't have all those goodies. Here's an overview showing you the difference in stats I tested, and I just put these in Excel. Really, this isn't a very in-depth test, but this is there to show you that if you don't know the difference between tank and DPS armor for most players, generally speaking, will be your go-to armor and something you should stick with. A common misconception is to say you need tank armor to learn PVM, but consider this. If you're killing the boss 8% faster, I'm not saying it's 8% faster in actual practice, but let's say you're killing the boss 8% faster using DPS armor, you're also taking 8% of whatever time it takes to kill the boss less damage. You're going to be taking less hits because the boss will be dead quicker, and if you happen to use Soul Split, you will also be healing back more. These are things to take into consideration when you're choosing for tank armor over DPS armor, because most of the time you want to use that DPS armor. Something else I'd like to cover is upgrading your armor over your weapons. You do never want to do this. Usually in RuneScape, your weapon will be much more important than your armor. If you have tier 70 DPS armor, please upgrade your weapons first. Get a higher tier weapon, get invention unlocked, get overloads, because the damage increase will be way more significant. Here's a very small example showing me using a tier 75 weapon and tier 92 armor versus me using a tier 80 weapon and tier 70 armor, and as you can see, the max hits using tier 70 armor and a tier 80 weapon, which is way cheaper than that Trim Masterwork tier 92 armor, is hitting harder. Although not much, but it is hitting harder. Here's another example, and I know there's armor perks and weapon perks involved and so on, but just look at the ranged hits with Sirenic, and then look at the hits using a Seren Godbow without any armor equipped. As you can see, the Seren Godbow is still hitting harder than the tier 80 weapon plus tier 90 armor, even though I'm not wearing any DPS armor any longer. Again, upgrade your weapons over your armor at all times after tier 70 gear. The reason I wanted to make this video is A, because I've mentioned it in videos before and people found it very helpful. B, I've seen way too many players use their gear wrong or buy the wrong upgrades. And C, this is something I'm going to be mentioning briefly in my beginner's guide or tips for beginners coming in with the Steam release in a video coming up soon. Anyways, with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this little video and found it interesting, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.